Welcome back to the Free Play Arcade Podcast. We're available basically anywhere you can find a podcast. And if you're listening to this, hit subscribe. Get every time we release a new podcast, get it right to you. It's going to be awesome. We are today sponsored by the amazing Jaden Smith Just Water. We seriously did not know Jaden Smith had anything to do with Just Water, and I'm still coming to terms with it. So if you see a podcast where I mentioned Jaden Smith and Just Water, it was probably recorded the same day. This is really a shocking revelation. So today, we've got the two owners of Free Play Arcade here. We've got the president, the COO, the CEO, basically every corporate title you can think of.
Secretary, treasurer.
In the room right now. And we're going to go over bad reviews. We're hoping this is cathartic, and we're hoping we don't come off as like total jerks. But we're going to see how it goes. We are defensive of our amazing arcades.
Of course.
We do spend something like 1 billion hours a week working at them, making them better, running cool events. And in fact, we have a super cool event going on right now, which is really cool because like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I would have never thought it was possible to have us both in like the same room while a cool event's going on. But here we are. We're going to review them. Where do you want to start? You want to start on Arlington?
Yeah, why? Let's start at Richardson, since Richardson was
Richardson was number one.
Original arcade.
And just as a way of background, guys, some of these reviews could be 2 years old, almost 3 years old. Richardson is coming up. This December will be 3 years old. So some things have changed. We're going to respond. We're going to say like whether or not it was like a valid negative review. I mean, truthfully, it's probably important to go ahead and give the quick speech. Everyone, like, they view their star system differently.
Right.
Some people, like, if it's good, that's 5 stars. If it's okay, that's 4 stars. Other people, it has to be perfect to be 5 stars. And otherwise, it's like 4 stars or 3 stars. And what I found, like, as a business owner, the people that I like the most are the ones, if they give a 4 star or a 3 star or 2 star or 1 star, they tell you why
exactly
it wasn't 5 stars.
Well, it's definitely the most helpful for us.
Because, I mean, as much as I love, and we have, I think we went through it, something like 5,000 5-star reviews. It's way, way beyond. We have a 4.9 on Facebook for Free Play Richardson, a 4.8 for Arlington, a 4.9 for Denton. On Google, which tends to be a little lower, we've got a 4.7 for Arlington, 4.7 for Richardson, and Denton's totally messed up because we have 2 Google accounts. Our average is around 4.6, 4.7. But basically, we are well reviewed. We're totally proud of the product we put out. We've won every single possible award that we can win as this type of business. We've recently been nominated by the Dallas Observer for best beer lineup period in the the Dallas County, or in greater DFW. With some, and I mean, DFW is huge. There's some serious big players. We are in the top 6 right now. That's totally flattering, totally amazing. We know we love our business, so if we get a little too defensive here, guys, don't worry about it. We're just going to go through our negative reviews so that, like, we can see because you never know where someone is when they come into the place. You never know. They might receive a bad experience. We don't know. We're going to review it. We're going to talk about it. We're starting off at Free Play Richardson. Here we go.
All right. So the first one that I have pulled up is the most recent of my list for Richardson.
Most recent kind of negative review.
All right. So to preface, every single one of these reviews is 2 stars or less.
So, and Richardson, you pulled this off of Richardson's Google.
Right.
Between Richardson's Google and Richardson's Facebook, we have about 2,800 reviews. So this is the most recent 2-star or lower review. Let's do it.
All right. So this one says, by David Sanchez. Ask this shaggy-looking ass dude at the bar if I could take a quick look at the games before I decided to pay for the entrance fee to see if I liked it. Shaggy dude said that I could look at the games from outside through the window. Left and never came back. Let me know when this guy quits, and maybe I'll give it another try.
Ooh. tough one. So I mean, this is probably something we're going to see a little bit in the negative reviews.
Well, it's an interesting topic because I think what we run into in these kinds of situations is when we are not busy at all during the week. Absolutely. If you want to come take a look at the games, walk around before you decide whether you want to pay the admission, not a problem at all. But even myself this weekend, I've dealt with customers coming in while we've been jam-packed crowded, and I had to find the same guy 3 separate times and say, hey, I'm sorry, if you would like to stick around and keep playing these games, which you've hopped on while we weren't looking, I'm going to need you to come back up to the front and pay. And I eventually had to escort him out of the establishment because he would not pay to play the games.
Right. I mean, it's kind of tough for some people to get over. Like, it's $10 to come in for every single person.
Right.
And it's like that just so that we don't have to police people. It's so that we don't have to go to like every single person, make sure they have a wristband before they touch the games and stuff. The alternative, even though some people would say, I just want to be able to, come with my boyfriend or on a date and I don't really want to play, he wants to play or whatever. I assure everyone who is listening to this, it would be worse that way. We would have to constantly check your wristband. I mean, we'd be like, like the train conductor checking tickets. It would be terrible. So we generally, especially if we're busy, kind of dissuade and we do not encourage people to take a tour. We have most of the games. I mean, we update it about 6 times a year, our game list on our websites. No matter what, if you go to the website, you'll get a great idea of what's in there.
Right.
If you're looking for a specific game, you can talk to the bartender and ask if we have it. They'll know. They'll tell you. It's just really hard on the bartenders because our bartenders are so busy. They're so just, they're there working so that when you ask for a tour, it's really, really hard on them because they're going to have to go check and make sure that, for example, you weren't just coming in to try to play a bunch of games.
Right.
Which that sounds really insulting, except it happens all the time.
It happens all the time. People even try to come in while we're not open to play the games or check things out.
We'll come to negative reviews where people have come in hours we're not open and said, hey, can I take a look around? And sometimes the answer is no because, hey, we're trying to do stuff. We're trying to move games around.
We have things out in the aisles that are dangerous, right, and we don't want you to be walking through those dangerous areas.
Well, and one of the reasons we open late is when our techs are working, we've got electrical components exposed that are energized. They're dangerous, and we're trying
pieces of metal. We have various wires running places like extension cords and things.
We're trying to make sure that the public is safe, and yeah, it happens. We'll get negative reviews for people because people feel totally entitled to just walk in and say, hey, I don't really want to pay. Can I take a look around? And inevitably, like we were saying, a bunch of those people end up playing the games, which is so annoying because we just want people to have a good time coming to the arcade and enjoy it. Mm-hmm. We work really, really hard so that $10 is minimal. And as someone who is a hardcore arcade nut, I know that every one of our locations is providing us serious value.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm a fan of arcades, and I go to a lot of different arcades. And I assure you that every time I step into an arcade that does not have a free play model, I spend way more money than you could possibly spend at free play.
Well, and for example, free play Richardson right now has, if we were running even as a pinball bar or a chain or a coin bar, there's at least 4 or 5 pinballs that would be $1 a play.
Absolutely, especially with the newer model pinballs.
And at least 30 or 40 games that would be 50 plus cents. And we see people the truth is, Free Play Richardson earns far less than $0.25 per play for its games. Mm-hmm. So we're dedicated to original games. We're the only arcade that goes to the extremes we do. And it's a fair price. It's a fair price at that $10. So when people try to, and we're never jerks because we just want people in the arcade to pay that $10 and have a great time. So it's kind of tough. People really like previews. This is probably the most important thing of this entire thing. Nobody in the current world likes to hear the word no.
Well, it sounds to me like David came at a busy time and had a problem, and perhaps our staff didn't handle the situation the best. I have no idea how this situation actually played out, but simply saying, no, I'm sorry, you can't look around. It's too busy right now. It might have been how it played out. It could have honestly can't say. We weren't there.
People, as soon as they hear the words no, they start asking how can they chip away at that no? And it's really hard on the bartender or the person trying to get you to pay your admission to be like, man, just please, if you want to pay, please come in. If not, I understand. It's not a big deal, but you can't really be in here because we're trying to, make sure that the paying customers get service. That alone is so hard to deliver in a really constructive way, and people are going to get upset. So, like I was saying, saying the words no to people nowadays is really hard, and I feel like that's one of the major customer service things we've learned because we generally don't want to tell people no.
Well, right.
But sometimes it comes up.
It has to happen.
And yeah, as we go through these reviews, we're not saying our staff is always perfect. We have our staff's back generally, but they're dealing with thousands of people a week. It's hard.
Thousands of unique interactions with individuals in different circumstances. Some high stress situations, some low stress situations. And ultimately, what we have to realize is that both our employees and our customers, we're all just people, and we're just trying to offer the best arcade experience we can. Sometimes we fall short, and I guess we'll continue to address those.
So, all right, let's hit the next one up.
So next one, Mike, a review from 7 months ago,
all right,
said that a red-headed woman at the front was very rude. Apparently, she's taking the lead on our going out of business sale.
Well, Mike, we're not out of business yet. we're doing
not
great.
Not at all.
I remember this. I remember when this review came through because I was like, what is going on? I texted our employees immediately. And the story was Mike came at a time we were closed. Normally the door is locked, but sometimes we get deliveries and stuff and the door ends up unlocked.
All the time, dealing with different reps that come through the door.
Right. He opened the door that was unlocked, and it was while they were actually prepping for a private event where someone has paid a lot of money to have the arcade to themselves, which, we think is really important, and we're event focused. So we want to make sure the people who have booked the event, paid that money, they have the arcade to themselves because they're paying a good premium for that. So she told him, no, he can't walk or look around. This was during closed hours and that we were about to open for a private event. And he apparently did not like that.
Well, that sounds fair. I mean, I can understand that he'd stopped by or maybe come out of his way trying to get some information. And working this job versus all the other jobs I worked, like being a corporate litigator, everything, I've really learned that it's a total, customer service is a totally different world. It's hard. Absolutely.
For one. And as an attorney, your customer service is making sure you're protecting your client. Here, it's trying to make a bunch of kind of potential, thousands and thousands of just normal transactions. But when you get those 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 a day that are a little off, a little weird, it becomes really, really hard. And this guy, he wanted that tour. He came during closed hours, but he really thought, what's the harm of me walking around? And the truth is, the harm is our clients that are booked, the plays coming, seeing a guy that's not part of their party, having access to the arcade. And also, we were closed.
Right.
When we're closed, we talked about it already. We're doing stuff that we need to be able to do without a bunch of people around. So he was told no. He wished us to, go out of business. So that was nice of him.
Well,
like I said, what you'll find is when you tell people no nowadays, they wish you total absolute death. It's really intense. And I think that's new. I think it's different, but we'll see. Let's keep going.
All right. Alan, 6 months ago, says, too expensive, games not that great.
That one's hard. No, I guess we should go ahead and preface. Our product is not necessarily for everyone.
Right.
Because I don't think video games are necessary for everyone.
Well, I think that everyone has the types of video games that they like to play if they like to play video games. And the experience that we offer is not for all types of gamers.
And so we have brought together, I don't even have to say something that's from us. We can just point to any of the media or anything. One of the best arcade lineups in the history of the world. You can go look through our walkthrough on YouTube. Our lineup is sick. There are games that you can play, free play Richardson right now, that are available nowhere else.
You can only play them in people's private collections, a couple of places in the United States. We
have Megatech, which might be the only one.
Only one in the U.S.
Right. We've got a Dragon's Lair working Laserdisc on free play with thousands of plays.
Which is a couple of games down from Major Havoc.
A dedicated Major Havoc, dedicated Reactor. It's crazy. This is not. So,
but
that said,
to be fair, if you came to our arcade expecting the early 2000s games, as everything was doing a shift over, especially as they were introducing a lot more of the music style games, if you're in that age bracket and you started coming through and you're looking for, DDR, Para, all of those kinds of things, you're not going to be getting that kind of experience in our arcades.
Well, and one of the things we've seen, and I don't know if it's true on this review or not, if you show up on a Saturday night when we're busy, you're going to miss a lot of games.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the reviews that I remember the most was on Facebook a long time ago, and it was a guy who left us a 1-star review saying that we didn't have a good selection of, I think it was fighting games. And everyone really jumped down his throat because they were like, whoa, 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 whoa. They do. Like, they have all the fighting games. And he was like, no, they didn't have like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter or Killer Instinct. And of course, we have all of those. We have the best collection of all of those, period, in the United States. But it was so busy, he didn't see that. He didn't even see them. And he said, man, to his credit, he said, you know what, let me come back. And it took him a few months, but a few months later he came back. He changed the review immediately to 5 stars.
Nice.
I know it's one of the, that's like one of the great redemption arcs, because we're going to get to reviews where people accidentally click 1 or 2 stars, and we very nicely are like, hey man, just did you have a bad time? What's going on? And they never respond. You never know. But that guy, he said, and it was just because we were so busy at the time, he didn't actually get the chance to see the games. Which is tough, and that's one of the harder reviews to deal with. Is we get so busy that people might miss something, and that's hard. So we have no information, and I guess anyone who's leaving a negative review, guys, just give us as much information as possible. We don't take it. We've had so many positive reviews. We've had so many we're really, really doing good stuff here that we're not taking it personally. We're trying to look at these as like the potential gaps in our amazing product.
What can we improve?
So, all right, let's hit the next one.
All right, this one might be the harshest that we have.
Wait, this is Free Play Richardson?
This is Richardson.
Oh, my God. All right, hit me.
Okay. So this is Bruno, posted 6 months ago.
It's not a real name. Let's do this.
Such wasted potential. After visiting Free Play 3 times now, I left each time feeling disappointed. Oh. The drink menu was completely wrong all 3 times I visited, which is extremely frustrating because the bartenders never seem to have a clue. Even worse, I've been charged different prices for the same drink during the same visit because no one seems to know what's going on. Get it together. It's really a shame to see such a cool concept for a barcade squandered by total incompetence.
All right, so Bruno has a point here. And this is one of the hardest things that we've dealt with since we opened. Having the greatest beer lineup of any arcade ever, which is undisputed right now for Free Play. And guys, I would love...
As an arcade? Absolutely.
Right. I mean, no. That's what's really crazy. We're competing with the best beer establishments, period. So if y'all have a better beer arcade, go ahead and send it over, and I'll send you the 200 curated beers we have right now. I'll send you our seller list. We are dominant. But during that process, the process of establishing one of the best beer lists, not only for an arcade ever, which we are, but for a business ever, really trying to drive that craft beer market and become the best in DFW for beer, man, we had a lot of products come in, and it was really, really hard to keep proper inventory controls and proper pricing controls. Mm-hmm. So there is a chance that he's completely correct. There's a chance that this happened. That, one, we've changed our menu policies a little bit. So now if they sell out, instead of trying to restock it before they print new menus, they just cross it off the menu.
Right. That helps a lot.
So that has gone a long way. And they're a little bit better at, our bartenders and our bar managers and everything are better at updating the menus quicker.
Well, we had some problems with our menuing system, and a lot of our staff were having issues finding beers in our system. We actually recently, we've got a new manager who has taken over updating our menus, going through our systems, putting things in, and they are staying on top of this and making sure that the products that we are selling are in the system for our employees at all times, which makes it a lot easier and makes our staff definitely not have to try and figure out or talk amongst themselves to figure out the price of the beers that we're selling.
So, I mean, so Bruno, that was harsh, but we apologize. And the real thing is, we were having 40 or 50 new beers come in every single week.
Right.
It was too much. I mean, we still have a ton of beers. We still have
a lot of beers, but we've been staying on top of the rotation schedule. We've been staying on top of the products that we have in stock, and doing a lot more inventory controls on the back end that y'all don't see too.
We've worked a lot on our back end that has really helped this. So.
Well, and one of those things, y'all in Richardson probably have noticed that our big chalkboard was taken down. It was something they were unable to keep up with. We are actually getting ready to implement that back into play with maybe some improvements and things to help everyone find drinks quickly, but we'll be discovering that in the next few weeks.
With hundreds of beers rotated, like during a 2 or 3 month period, it became too much, and it just became our back end stuff wasn't sufficient. Now it is. So Bruno, come back. We got you. that's actually something we've improved on. And I mean, I don't know if it's fair to go ahead and leave us a 1 or 2 star review based on a couple weird menu items, but maybe it is. I don't know.
Well, I understand the frustration of not knowing the price of things and being out of everything that you ask for on the menu. And I hope that we've solved those problems for you. And if we haven't, please just let us know.
Which, of course, that's like the harshest, but that's like the best reviews that we get are ones that we can actually improve on. I mean, based on like that review and things that we were noticing, we've implemented a ton of changes, and I think we're better. All right, hit me with Don Parks.
All right. The price to get in was good. Food is super overpriced and not very good for the price.
Oh, Don.
Gosh, that's pretty harsh.
As someone with a background in food and someone who's eaten a bunch of food at our other arcades and other bars, our food is generally awesome. And we've won regional awards. We've run local awards for the quality of our food. We generally spend more on our food than most other people.
Right.
Which isn't to say that's the thing. The best way that if we have a food item that isn't to your taste or isn't working, the best way to review that is to go tell us right away.
Well, I think that we might be dealing with expectation versus what we deliver. I mean, a lot of people come in and they're expecting bar food. They want hamburgers, they want fries, they want chicken wings, they want all of these kinds of things that are often traditional bar food, and we don't do any of that.
Well, and generally that's relatively inexpensive food to make too.
Well, right.
Like as a bar, the reason bars have that, it's easy and it's inexpensive.
Frozen patties, throw them on the grill,
Right.
you're good to go.
Frozen pizza dough or whatever, if you're doing that. I mean, it's a lot easier to give that generic bar food. And there are some people that come that would prefer us to do that.
Well, absolutely. But I think one of the things that we did in creating Free Play was we talked about what kind of food we wanted to have, and we wanted to be different than everyone else. So Corey primarily worked on our menu, and we decided on a simplistic but elegant menu that was elevated from sandwiches and other food that you might have eaten as a kid, but for an adult palate. And I really like our food. I think that it's played out really well. But part of that goes into we needed to source good ingredients. And we looked at all the different ways that restaurants perform. And most places get deliveries on a weekly basis. They do their stock. They determine what they need. And we realized that we'd be really limited to our suppliers, our products that were available, all of the different quality issues that come when we don't actually get to source our things ourselves.
The way that works is really frozen food. Like,
Right.
There's a lot of frozen food involved in that kind of supply chain. And we don't generally do that. We have a stock. We restock daily if necessary.
At this point, I would say we run stock at least 5 days a week. Is probably the answer. We have several different restaurant vendors and different things that we utilize, but we also utilize fresh markets and other local places to pick up fruit and different things that we go through, our avocados, our different selections of those things. We tested probably 6-7 different companies and different types of like meats and cheeses from different locations that were available for bulk purchase, determined the highest quality that we could find, often at a detriment to ourselves with price and costs.
Well, and if you compare us to like another sandwich you'll get anywhere, if you're, for example, eating one of our press sandwiches, you might notice, whoa, there's a ton of quantity, there's a ton of quality there, because we don't skimp. We only care about getting those sandwiches right. And then the pizzas, a lot of people complain about because they're somewhat expensive. And this is more than a year old. I mean, not good thing for consumers generally, I guess. But what we've seen in the last year is we went from being mildly higher than a lot of sandwich and pizza places to now being lower. Prices
costs are going up.
Yeah, costs are going up and prices have come up everywhere. And I'm not saying
that
we're
affects
immune to
us
that.
too,
Yeah,
but
we're not immune to that, but we set prices that we think we can actually hold. There's no gimmicks to it. This is what we need to make for the product that we're serving, and generally we're serving an amazing quality product.
That is always our hope.
And as an arcade to win or to be nominated for, to be recognized by these different food awards and blogs and everything, it's really, really impressive. And really, like, we're really proud about that. So
I don't know. I'm getting kind of hungry right now.
I know. Well,
I need to go get a fruit and cheese plate.
And see, if you compare a fruit and cheese plate, for example, to anyone else's, you might notice that, wow, that fruit is actually good. And there's a lot of really, really good places that make these types of platters, and they're terrible compared to what we offer.
Well, there's a reason for this, because especially when it comes to things like fruit, which we all know, we have fruit and vegetables at home in our fridges, on our counters, depending on what it is. And fruit gets old, and it's really difficult when you're getting deliveries 1 day a week, 2 days a week, to keep everything fresh and in stock and looking its best. So, I mean, that goes with running things, every day, every other day at our locations. We're trying to make sure that we have the best product available, and it may be simple, but that's why it has to be good.
Well, but still, if you have something that you don't think is good, go tell the bartender, go tell whoever you ordered the product from. We'll get it made right. We'll make sure that it's tasting how it's supposed to. We're not saying that we never have any issues, because we serve thousands and thousands of food products every week. It's really, really impressive how much product we move, how successful our kitchens are, and a lot of it comes with the quality, but we're really proud of it, but we want to make sure we make things right. And then I think really briefly we should touch on, it is really hard to order our pizzas if you have a kid.
Right.
You're so used to having like $3 and $4 kids meals, where, whether the restaurant is eating the cost to make sure that they have a good kid, or providing really bad stuff to your kid, which, as someone with kids, I know how hard it can be to get a kid to eat certain things. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. And we've worked on this. We've come up with different plans and different kind of product types. Most kids aren't going to want a barbecue pulled pork pizza.
Well, even our garlic cheese flatbread, I mean, we serve it with a olive oil and garlic base. Although, if upon request, we will swap that for a traditional marinara base, which a lot of people seem to prefer.
Yeah, I mean, but that is the default cheese pizza is an aged blended olive oil with garlic infused into the olive oil. That's the base, followed by fresh. We do all sorts of stuff, followed by a triple cheese. It's a whole thing. It's a whole process, and sometimes it doesn't vibe with all palates. Sometimes it doesn't vibe with especially children, especially when you're used to things like Chuck E. Cheese, which they buy the bulkiest everything, which is what they do. They wouldn't deny that at all. But they're able to be cheaper than us just because their quality's less.
Absolutely.
So we're not ever going to chase that down. We're totally proud of our food. But if you do
eat it every week,
if you do get a food item you don't prefer, you don't like, let us know so that we can kind of log that. We can make something that you would like, because our kitchens are awesome and we make really great food. All right.
I've got one more for Richardson. It says expensive and crowded from over a year ago.
All right, Vidar. We do get crowded sometimes, and
unfortunately,
some people prefer it. Some people think that's because there's a total balance where the crowd is like, you're at a place where people want to be. The music is the right volume. People are around you mingling, talking. You might have friends out there in the crowd. That is like the beauty of the arcade, but that's not necessarily for everyone.
Well, so what I found is that a lot of our patrons, they fall into two different types. Some of our patrons are there to play games, and they just want to play the games that they want to play as much as they can. And we have customers that come in and they are just there for the experience. I mean, I have talked with people who come to the arcade not to play any games at all. They just want to be there for the environment. And when we have a facility like that, I mean, first thing I can say is that at all times, there's always an open game on the floor. It may not be the game that you want to play, but it is probably near it, and you can probably hop on something if you want to. But when you have that kind of party atmosphere that we get on Friday, Saturday nights, it is a different environment entirely than one of our weekday evenings or weekday afternoons. Same thing goes, we've got the 9 o'clock curfew for anyone 18 and under or 21 and under, whether you come on the week or the weekends. And depending on the environment that you're looking for, showing up on a Sunday morning at 11 o'clock could be a very different experience than showing up on a Saturday night at, 9, 10 o'clock at night. So I think as far as this goes, it's really just about understanding the environment and coming at the time that's right for you and or your family if you're bringing your younger children or anyone as well.
So that was after. I think that was from Google on Richardson, where they have about 1,200 reviews. There were, I don't know, 7 negative ones, 7, something like that, give or take. All right, and we're not going to go ahead. We're not here to toot our own horn. We're not here to read positive reviews. We're here to really just look at it and respond and make sure that everyone knows we're reading the negative reviews. I don't want to go ahead and throw. So Facebook recently changed. It's impossible to find to sort by star rating or anything on Facebook, at least how it used to be.
18 2-star review and unders out of 1,171 reviews.
Yeah, we're really proud of, our track record.
We really do try, and we really do pay attention to these reviews and try to make improvements for anything that anyone's critical of our establishments for.
So, anyone who doesn't know, Facebook recently changed how the reviews work. And they went from a hard star rating, which you can still leave star ratings, but now they prefer the either recommend or do not recommend. And they put it all into an algorithm and give you a star rating. And we've never received something that says they do not recommend, because normally the way Facebook presents it, I think is really, really biased to make people click, I recommend this place, because it's like, hey, we recently saw these photos were taken at Freeway Richardson. Do you recommend that?
I think that it's meant to be a more positive thing to promote businesses without actually engaging the financial side of social media.
But we recently, just 4 or 5 days ago, received the very first do not recommend, and it's my favorite review ever. This is Freeway Richardson.
I read this live.
And he said, I don't understand the concept here. What's so great about old arcade games? And he actually goes on and he talks about how there were a lot of people there and how it was popular and people seemed to be really having a good time, but he didn't really understand what the heck was going on. And I guess we've talked about it a little bit on this podcast already. Yeah, maybe some people don't like old games.
Maybe it's not for you.
Now, I will give the speech. I think that so when they made these games in the 80s, the best programmers in the absolute world were not working on operating systems. They were not working on computer software. They were working on video games, and they were releasing them to the arcades because that was the only way it was cost effective. Nowadays, your best video game programmers are making console games. They're making mega market games that are available to anyone on as many places as possible. Mm-hmm. They are not necessarily making arcade games, and to be honest, especially the major market arcade producers in America, like Raw Thrills, suck. So
no shade there at all.
I hate Raw Thrills. They are just I really think they'll get it one day, and I feel like if I tell them that they suck enough, maybe that's probably not how you motivate people.
In time.
So we don't have modern games. We have old games. We have what are generally considered the best games of all time.
We have games that are. What is that quote that you used to say to describe the arcade games that we have? The staple of a good game is one that is simple to pick up but difficult to master.
Right, yeah. And that's pretty much every major 80s arcade game.
They are fantastic. And
the best thing is like, as someone who's now grown up and has all these responsibilities that are tugging at my time, though I wish I had hundreds of hours to dedicate to a game, the perfect game for me is one that I can play in 5 to 10 minutes and get a good experience. And the answer to that is every 80s arcade game.
Right.
They were designed to give you entertainment for 5 to 10 minutes. And as you got better, maybe you can extend that time. And maybe that 5 to 10 minutes was something that you already had to get better to get to. But that was it. That was the complete game experience in 5 to 10 minutes. And there's mobile game programmers that would kill to just touch what these 80s programmers were able to get. And games like Miss Pac-Man, Defender, Asteroids, Space Invaders, Galaga, the all-time classics
they're classics for a reason.
And because these were the very, very best programmers in the world doing everything they could to make a good game. And that was all they cared about. And we have nothing like that in the modern world, especially not for arcades. So that's what's so great about our old arcade games. Old arcade games are the best arcade games. any newer game that's any good, we've put it in the arcade already. I mean, there are games that haven't made it but if it's so good that it deserves it, for example, Japanese Pac-Man Battle Royale, we're the only ones in the country with it, and it's a good game. Yeah. It's a game that was released in the 2000s. It's using an LCD screen. We're not like crazy. If it's good, we're gonna put it out. It's really just there haven't been that many good games, and we're not gonna make this podcast about how like every major driving game that's been released in the past 10 years uses computer assistance to completely run the game, or how they're all on the same stupid graphics engines and they all look the same and they all rob you of the gameplay experience it doesn't matter. The new games aren't as good. That's why we run old games, but they're not for everyone.
Well, no, and
some people don't like video games, period. Some people are just never going to like old arcade games. If you've never played a good arcade game, if you've been playing your phone games too much or something like that, you're going to come to free play and just be like, wow, these games are like, they don't give me the immediate gratification that I'm looking for in my life.
Well, I think my advice would be, if you come to free play and you are not familiar with these games, if you don't have a game that you gravitate towards, I would just try a few out. Try a few that look interesting of different styles, maybe a multiplayer game that you can play with another person, and just give it a go. And if arcade games aren't your thing, try some pinball games, because we have plenty of those as well at our locations. And ultimately, I think that everyone can find something that they'll enjoy, whether they know it or not, when they walk through the door.
All right, so we're gonna switch to Arlington.
All right.
We have so many positive reviews that it's kind of irritating when you try to look at the negative reviews. But I remember this review when it came in. It's about a year old. And this is a guy, he said, not even worth the $10 admission, paid it, and was there for 30 minutes before I left. The games are boring and uninteresting. Less than 5 games worth playing, and those were mostly busy. Most of the games I don't even recall, and I grew up in the 80s. Now, this is Free Play Arlington. Yep. Need much more of a selection. Free Play Arlington.
What?
If you want games, you can download them on their phone. I would absolutely never go back. So Sean Christopher, thanks for that one. Wow. So let's just go ahead and preface this. Free Play Arlington has more retro arcade games than any other free play arcade in the entire country. Free Play Arlington also has 20 of the top 20 arcade games of all time. The top earning 20 arcade games you can find at Free Play Arlington right now.
But tell me, Corey, do we have both 80s and 90s games at Free Play Arlington?
Well, I'm glad you asked. All of the top 90s beat-em-ups, such as Turtles or X-Men, you can find at Free Play Arlington. Oh, do you like fighting games like Mortal Kombat 2, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 3, any weird games like Martial Masters? It doesn't matter. You'll find them at Free Play Arlington. You like things like Smash TV, Robotron, all the top rated all-time games, also at Free Play Arlington.
But I only like obscure games like Make Tracks.
Oh, yeah, you like the obscure Williams games like Make Tracks? We've got them. You like GPI games for some reason? We love them too. We're the only arcade in the entire nation that has a King and Balloon ready to play for you.
What about Enigma 2?
Hey, wow. That's even rare. We have that too. No, Free Play Arlington is stacked from top to bottom. And then it even has, for example, probably the best shooting game of all time, Lost World. Not only is it the Lost World, it's the Jeep. We have an actual Lost World Jeep that is playable, beautiful, ready to go. We have newer games. We have older games. Free Play Arlington is a beast. So I was not very nice to this person when I responded to him. I mean, I was very cordial. But I said, I don't know what 80s you grew up in, because we have every top 80s game of all time in the arcade right now. And I don't know if the guy was just in a bad mood. I don't know what was going on.
Well, to be fair, I think when a lot of people come to the arcade looking for that one specific game that they played, if it wasn't one of those top 20 games, it might not be there at that time. And we get that a lot. We also have a lot of people who, they never go and look at the cocktails where we rotate different games through. So right now, don't we have a Defender or a Stargate over there?
We have a Defender cocktail that is, playable, awesome, there.
But a lot of people come through and they say, it would be great if you had a Defender. And we just have to respond, we do.
Right. Well, and it does happen. And it can get busy and you might miss games. We talked about that earlier. But in a row at Free Play Arlington, and it's been this basic row forever. We have in a row Centipede, Tron, Discs of Tron, the only free-play arcade in the world with a playable Disc of Tron at this exact second. Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers, Excite Bike, a Play Choice 10, Donkey Kong.
My favorite, DK3.
DK3. If you jump to the other side, it's Miss Pac and Galaga. They have Dig Dug, Burger Time, everything. I mean, it's so. I'm looking at the list right now. It's just even saying it. Tempest, Qbert. It doesn't matter. Every major game of the 80s is there. And if it's not there right now, it's because we've rotated it off for other super major games. And then, they have Mortal Kombat. They have Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. They have Street Fighter 2. They have Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter. They have Street Fighter 3. They have an absurd Candy Cap selection. They have Let's Go Jungle as their newest game in a full deluxe super cap.
Popular.
Which is, that was a game that I thought, that's a new game that was good. We're going to bring it out, and Arlington is the obvious place to bring it out. They have a killer lineup of pinball that includes Attack from Mars, the top Stern games, the top Jersey Jack games. They've got, really, really weird stuff. They've got really obscure stuff. They've got great gun games. It doesn't matter. Free Play Arlington is stacked. So there is no way that you grew up in the 80s and you could go to Free Play Arlington. I don't know what happened to this guy. I don't know why he felt that way. But he's totally wrong. And there's just nothing we can say about that other than if you don't remember these games, you did not grow up in the 80s. Because, it's like Miss Pac-Man. How do you not remember Miss Pac-Man? It just doesn't make any sense. And then, we've got games like NBA Jam, NFL Blitz. It doesn't matter. We've got it all. Arlington is super, super stacked. All right, so let me... All right, here is 7 months ago. We will not, this is Free Play Arlington again. Okay. We will not be going to this place. We were denied entrance just to look around and see what games they had and check out the arcade. We were told they were too busy for a tour. We had received really, really good reviews for this place, so we wanted to check it out. We left very disappointed. Nope. We talked about this earlier.
Guys, really sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, if we're busy, we can't give free tours. We can't just let you in because people keep running it. Don't blame us. Blame the people that keep not being true to saying they just want to take a quicker look around.
Well, and Arlington's especially difficult because it is 2 separate rooms. And so with our limited staff, when we have our hosts handling people coming through the door, if they have to go track someone down, then that leaves no one at the front to be doing admissions, have people come through, and it just creates all sorts of problems. We don't like to police things, and we really do like to run on the honor system when people are going to check out games, but so many people come in and they just try to bypass that.
Right, and it's important because to provide this experience, we have to be able to make some money off the games. Like, if you've gone to a barcade that has free games, that barcade has 10 games, maybe 20 games at most, and they're not in great condition.
There's a good chance that they're pretty run down.
We're not that kind of barcade. Free Play Arlington has 140 plus games, all in working condition, all running original parts. That is just absolutely not possible without making sure we make some money off of it, because it costs a fortune to do. All right, so this is an interesting one. 5 months ago, John S., he says, personally, I don't think it's appropriate to have children at a bar at midnight, but feel free to come here if you'd like to meet some people who would disagree.
Whoa.
After this review, I double-checked camera footage and stuff. I didn't see anything that he was referring to, but let's be absolutely clear. Free Play Arcade, after 9 p.m., has no kids.
Right.
They are banned. They are prohibited. If you see someone trying to bypass our rules, let us know. We will kick them out. We will eject them.
Not a problem at all.
We do it every single night. Every single night at 9 p.m., we round up all the kids and we push them out the door. They have to leave. We know that. That's an agreement with the TABC.
We're a little nicer than that, but...
It's true. We actually try to make as many nice, passive-aggressive announcements and everything as possible saying... I've seriously had times where I've been in Arlington and had a group that has kids in it that is at like 9:05 and they're out there. I'm like, hello, if you are wearing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt and you are clearly below 21, please exit the building. So we try to be funny, we try to be nice, and we try to give plenty of warning. All of our hosts and all of our bartenders are trained to let people know if it's coming up near that 9, hey guys, it's going to be 9. And numerous reviews that you're not going to hear today are people who show up at like 8 o'clock and have the front say, "Oh, hey, I see you're with a child. We don't actually let anyone in at that age after 9. If you'd like, I can give you a quick little half off entry, but just know you are out of here at 9." And generally people are super pumped about that because we're straightforward with what the rules are and everything. That said, people hate rules.
Right.
People hate being told no. Some people will try to cheat. Some people try to cheat the system. John, if you see that, just let us know.
Please. Because you should never have a child in the arcade at midnight. I mean, it's against our rules. It's against our policies. Let us know. We'll take care of it.
All right, so this is the worst review that Arlington ever received. It's from a guy that has left 53 total reviews on Google. 52 of them are 1 star, and I assume he owns some sort of U-Haul because they gave a U-Haul 5 stars. Or maybe he works there. I looked this up. This was clearly a troll review, but I'm going to go ahead and read it.
Okay.
This is from a guy, his name is Donovan Wolf, but he has a big, huge photo of a wolf in his thing. I assume he's not actually a wolf. So he says, having recently opened, even so, expect to struggle to find parking. We're going to go ahead and take it piece by piece.
Right.
He says, expect to struggle to find parking. We actually haven't had that problem in Arlington.
No, we really thought that we were going to. So Arlington has a private lot with, 24, 26?
Something like that.
Something like that. Maybe 28 spaces in it. There is street parking available.
Right on the streets that border Free Play Arlington.
On 3 sides of us, there is a public municipal lot located, I would say, 300, 400 feet away.
Well, and so this is actually the biggest thing that solves all the parking problems.
All right.
They have 500 or 600 parking spots in a municipal lot across the street from Free Play Arlington. From the side of Free Play Arlington across the street, it's virtually unlimited. I've never seen that lot get all the way full. It gets busy, and sometimes during like Cowboys games, for example, it can be tough. But I've never actually seen it full. I've come at the busiest times and always been able to find a spot.
Well, and then all of the city-owned buildings that are, I guess, directly to the side of Free Play, they actually put up signage that you can park there every weekend.
Yeah.
So all of those buildings are free for public use for all of the downtown area, just to try and facilitate the business's needs. So
yeah, and I got to say total props to Arlington for that.
Absolutely.
That's really, it makes sense, but that is totally awesome that they have worked out that like any place that they have a municipal building, any place that they have municipal offices, even if they don't own it, they have negotiated that it is open parking during the weekend in downtown Arlington. And so when we were going into it, we were like, even though it's downtown Arlington, this isn't like downtown Dallas. It's more of like a walking. Downtown Arlington is actually really cool, really nice growing space, but it's still in the suburbs. It's between Dallas and Fort Worth. It's a downtown location, but we didn't know what to think about parking. There's plenty of parking. Free Play Arlington has been really lucky because, we have Free Play Denton, which has its own parking issues that I'm sure we'll get to.
Oh, yes.
But Free Play Arlington, that hasn't been a problem. This is a troll, but we're going to go ahead and respond to each point. That's not a problem.
Well, I think the answer is that if you have problems with parking or difficulty finding it, talk to us. Let us know that you are having a problem finding parking, and we will point you to the appropriate lot or space.
Right. All right. So his next point, after his parking, the games that they have, and then he puts in parentheticals that are working, have distracting burn it. No. It's not that none of our games ever have burn.
Well, right. We are running original CRT monitors in every single one of our games, and that does have the downside that these things are antiques, and some of them do have game burn.
But generally, the only monitors we allow to survive, we'll replace them if they have actual distracting game burn. There are games such as like Missile Command. Mm-hmm. They always get burned in the exact same spots. Gauntlet always gets burned in the exact same spot. It's not distracting. It doesn't actually detriment from the gameplay.
Right.
And we keep those monitors in top quality, although we know they're going to slowly get burned in, and we'll eventually replace them. And if there is a game out there that has burn that you consider distracting, let us know. And one of the reasons this is a troll post is he doesn't give any specifics about really anything. It's just general, everything sucks. The games suck. The food sucks, and we'll get to it. He just complains about everything. And if I remember correctly, he started off with a 2-star, and then I actually wrote a response to him, and he changed it to a 1-star.
Nice.
Maybe. I don't know if that's true, but that's how the trolls work. So he says they had distracting burn, and of course, I mean, we then did an entire game check.
Well, we were crazy obsessive about these things, so we walked through the entire arcade, did full control panel checks, looked for anything that was potentially malfunctioning or not up to par.
And all right, so then he said the tables wobble.
Okay.
That's
a fair point, and that can be a really distracting thing.
It depends on which tables he's talking about.
Also true.
Is he talking about the tables between the games, or is he talking about the dining room tables? The dining room tables, of course, when he left his review, were brand new.
Well, not to say that they couldn't have been calibrated properly.
It's true.
We do have little things on the bottom of them that you can spin and level tables.
He says they were wobbling. I don't know. Yeah. But okay, then the wall where the tables are is made of glass and has no blinds. And thus, anytime noon or later, there's an abhorrent amount of light, rendering half of the sitting positions here unusable. Now, this is like a partial good point that is then made weird because he's a little trollish. So we did have too much light coming into our dining area.
We thought that part was a very valid point. We've since evaluated that situation.
Not necessarily, though, in terms of whether or not you can sit there and eat your food. It was really more like whether it affects your gameplay, because we have some games in that room.
Right.
And to that extent, I agree. We were letting a little too much light in, so we installed a huge curtain system and everything. We've done a lot of different changes, and we changed the games. But to be clear, the seating area was you were never like being exposed to some sort of like radiation that was burning you or something inside our dining area. It was just kind of bright. We put curtains up there. We can now control completely the light allowed into that room, 100%. So to the extent that was a point that required response to, not only did we respond to it, Donovan, come back, play our game. I bet he has. I don't think he's a real person. I bet. But okay.
No way to know.
The drinks and food are overpriced as hell. No. The food we've talked about a little bit. But drinks, okay, we have inexpensive drinks.
So one of the things that we did while trying to put together free play was we wanted a good balance of things. And we knew in order to have our massively expansive menu that we were going to have to hit all areas of the price spectrum. So in order to make that efficient, I think we've assembled one of the best $4 beer lists in town.
Yeah, and that is one of the problems we run into, right? We have premium beers that are $20 or $30, and $20 or $30 might actually be a good deal on that beer,
right? But
you still see that price tag, and people who aren't used to craft beer or aren't really, into that kind of senior market will just see that and be like, wow, why are they so expensive? That's stupid.
But I would still argue that probably 80% of our beers at Free Play Arlington are between $4 and $7.
Right, and we've generally found that we're slightly below most other bars,
which is one of our aims.
Yeah, I mean, that's our target, is to be like 10% below most bars on our average beer price, because we want people to both feel good about being in there, but also feel good about hanging out, sticking around, and enjoying a beer. So we work really hard. We have more logistics in terms of our beer operations than definitely than any arcade, but most beer bars. As we alluded to earlier, we were just nominated as one of the best beer bars, having one of the best beer selections in all of DFW, and there's only 6 places on that list. That puts us in the top 6. It's an absurd nomination. So I don't think we're expensive, and we addressed the food thing. I won't get into it. He then goes on to say that the food was bad. And he can't say enough about how bad it was.
The food was terrible.
I don't think that is generally true. If it is, guys, if y'all have a bad meal, just come bring it. We have one.
Let us know.
We have been recognized as having the best arcade food ever. That said, this guy, I don't mean to guess, but something tells me our food might have had a little too much depth and flavor for him. He might not be so used to such rich, delicious foods. And he was shocked. His palate just couldn't process.
I think you're stretching there a little bit.
The deliciousness of what we have. All right.
No, ultimately he said too long, didn't read, go elsewhere. This place sucks.
That is what he said.
That's pretty harsh. You know, I think you would be hard pressed to find a similar establishment that did arcades and beer and food the way that we do anywhere else around. But good luck if you plan on going anywhere else.
Do you have just read the first line of my response to him, because this is back when I still had time to respond to every single negative review.
Is this the
That's it. Just read that, Donovan, right after that.
Okay, Donovan, I honestly don't know what to say here. This is the worst review we've ever received, and it's rather bizarre.
And then I went ahead and I addressed like every single point.
This is like 6, 7, 8 paragraphs, which, to be fair, you conclude with, I look forward to figuring out what happened and getting you back to our
you
awesome
wrote this,
arcade.
apparently. I don't think that's true. I think I was on your account and I wrote it.
Nice. Good job.
Good work, Richard. Okay, this is the next one though is my favorite. Okay. I mean, it's from a troll account called Absolute Dudists or something. But all right, this is
no. I think that this was honestly a kid.
I know. Super boring and run down. I know they are vintage games, but they are not fun. My dad loved it though. You pay $10 per person and get an all-day pass. That's the entire review. 1 star. And
thank you so much for that 1-star review.
And look, they've changed her name because I responded. It used to be Emma. Her name was Emma, but she's like 12 or 11 and changed her online thing or.
Hey, children write reviews too online, and that's something that we need to be aware of.
In my response, I was like, "Tell your dad he has excellent taste."
Harsh.
All right, so we already went over.
I think that just comes to the point that not everyone understands what we do, and our product's not for everyone. Clearly, this little girl was not a fan of what we do. It was not what she wanted when she heard we're going to the arcade. And that happens. Really sorry about that, and we're really not going to change anything for you.
Right? Yeah.
We kind of have our product, and
tell your dad to keep coming back. Yeah.
Tell your dad to come.
All right. So then we got a 1-star from Texas Vlogs, and this is the most excruciating type of review that we ever get, and it's a 1-star review, and the text Texas Vlogs wrote was, I meant to put 4-star.
Ooh.
I was just like, hey, just delete this and re-rate us. Google lets you do that, man. Don't worry about it. It's cool. Thanks. Nope. 1-star forever. I meant to put 4-star, which means he actually checked 1-star and then went into the text box and said, I meant to put 4-star and hit enter rather than just click the 4-star.
Hey, maybe it wouldn't let him change it. So we don't know what Google's interface is like these days. Sometimes it glitches too. Sorry about that. We will talk to Google. Probably not.
All right.
They have other things they're working on.
And yeah, so they've got about 4 or 5 more 2-star reviews, and you've got the someone that says it's an okay place, but the games they have are not recognizable.
I think we covered that.
Right.
Hopefully, depending on
I really like
age.
Puerto Rican Dozer Man, who gave us a 2-star review with a photo and said, "Cool place." That's the entire review. 2 stars. Cool place. And they've got like a cool. I mean, they look.
I thought he had a tall boy in his hand. But
they look like they're having a great time. No, they have a photo of 2 dudes looking really stoically in the camera. But yeah, 2-star review. This guy has 156 total reviews. Gives us 2 stars and he says, "Man, cool place." And that's his review. Come on.
Cool.
And I was like,
"Yo, that was a 2-star." But
right.
Glad you had a good time.
All right, yeah, we have no other 2 stars that left reviews.
Okay, so out of 764 reviews for Arlington, we had 15 2 stars and below.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, Free Play Arlington and Free Play Richardson both have 4.7 on Google. Yeah. Kind of interesting that they're identical. It's really interesting to look at it. All right, so we've addressed this at a previous podcast, but we're gonna go ahead and dive into Denton just for a second.
Denton's not a very long list.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and say one of the big problems here, guys, with Denton is we have Google has messed up. We have 2 Google accounts. One that's Freeplay Denton, which we have that's not actually us. We have no control over that account.
Though it has more reviews than ours.
Because most people just type Freeplay Denton. If you search Freeplay Arcade Denton, the first result will be the one we can actually respond to you on. Unfortunately, that account has received only 5-star reviews.
It has 3 reviews total. Only one of them has a description, and they had a really great time. So, not going to delve into that one too much. The unofficial one that we cannot respond to online right now because it is unofficial, though, is currently at 21 reviews and has a 4.4 star rating.
So this is the lowest we've ever had. And we want to make sure we go ahead and preface Freeplay Denton on Facebook has more than 100 reviews at this point, 4.9 average. Freeplay Denton on Google, for one, we can't respond to it, so it's a little bit more weird. Just in general, we can't give any information on that Google, so that has caused some issues. But ultimately, Freeplay Denton opened, and for the first 15 days was at capacity, almost open and close. If not capacity, it was busy.
Oh, very busy.
And that was the key. It was busy. Now we've reviewed video footage. There were always games open. It actually looks like it was a really great time. It's one of my favorite arcades ever. And I mean, in many ways, it's my favorite right now of all the free plays, which is interesting because, you know, they all change.
It's so cool, though.
Right.
And that's really what Denton was about. It was about creating a cool and different arcade.
But here's the downside to Denton. We have the biggest retro arcade. It's a free play in the country. At Freeplay Arlington. Mm-hmm. There are other Freeplay arcades. They have modern games and stuff. But in terms of raw retro, Freeplay Arlington is the biggest. Mm-hmm. Freeplay Richardson is probably just like the best retro arcade, period. That's like just like it's themed retro. Everything is retro. It is like it is a true time machine. Freeplay Richardson has 100 games, or give or take, 105 sometimes, 98 sometimes. Freeplay Arlington has 140 plus. Freeplay Denton has 55. 56, 57 at most. 57 is its high number that we've ever had. So it's a different experience. Freeplay Denton is also only $5 to come in, which I'm just going to go ahead and say, I don't care what we're about to read. $5 to come into that arcade and play as much as you want is the greatest deal in the history of arcade games, period. Everyone should that should be enough.
Especially with the pinball machines and everything else going on.
And not to mention we have a killer tech team who have done an amazing job keeping things out there. And
they're fantastic.
And we've constantly been doing special trips to Denton to make sure their games, when they go down, come up as fast as possible. It's insane.
Mad props to all of our Denton staff.
And yeah, and in general, we've been really pleased. All right, let's hit these negative reviews.
All right, so we only have 2 reviews that are less than 2 stars or less. The first one, let's get more of it, says, went in on Saturday evening around 9:30, 10, which we thought would be perfect because it's 21 plus after 9. We weren't greeted at the door and no one asked us to purchase a wristband. We walked around the entire place in under 5 minutes. It was loud and crowded. Every game was occupied and there didn't seem to be anywhere to enjoy a beer while you wait. Maybe I'm missing something, but I just don't see what all the hype is about.
So, this is a 3 weeks ago review.
So sorry that you had a bad experience at Denton, first off.
If I remember correctly, this is during their absolute peak opening traffic. Mm-hmm. And it was nuts. It was just a madhouse. They were at capacity. Coming at 9:30 didn't matter. They were at capacity with drinkers. Now, it was a total party scene. It was a totally cool environment. But if you were just trying to show up to have like a relaxing arcade thing, without any other people in there, you were not going to be happy.
Well, let's also talk about the fact that this is a brand new establishment. And while we do have some people who are working there who are seasoned, and some of which who are seasoned free play employees, we are dealing with a lot of different things. And we're definitely not expecting the volume of crowds that we had opening weekend and for the following several weekends now. So it has taken some time to train our staff to acclimate to the environment, all of the different issues that they run into. And, you know, I don't know why you were not greeted. We've since put up stanchions and signs to try and help make everything a little more clear. We also have increased our staffing for our Denton location. And I really hope that everyone who comes in has a pretty clear understanding of what the process is and that you can come and go as you please, and kind of helps to self-regulate that.
Yeah, it's true. And I think that's both a sign of kind of being established business at this point. When we opened Richardson, we probably wouldn't really... We had like a negative review here or there come in, and they would promptly just have a bunch of people jump on them because they're like, man, this is something that's never happened before. But now that we're on our third location, people expect perfection because, we generally strive hard to deliver that perfection.
Well, we always try and get there, but...
So yeah, obviously, your first few days that you're open... Things are gonna be difficult. No matter how much prep, no matter how much, and this was during our soft opening. This was way before our grand opening events, which we don't ever do our grand opening until
last week.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, this is a compressed timeline we're talking about. Free Play Denton's still a new place, but I feel confident that if she came on, even though it'd be Saturday, which guys, Saturday night is busy. Just know if you're coming to Free Play on a Saturday night, expect a crowd. Just plan on that with that in mind. Have a great time. If you don't want it all a crowd, don't come on Saturday night. All right, so hit us up with the next. We've got one more 1-star review here.
All right, this one says, it's like standing in your garage with a bunch of high schoolers drinking. Go down to Game Exchange and buy an old Game Boy Color and walk across the parking lot, and click more, to the Denton Funeral Home and play Pokemon Red or Blue. You'll have a better time. Absolutely sucks.
So this is a harder review to deal with, primarily because his first sentence is like 80% of what I'm trying to recreate. Like, I want it to be like you're back in high school, reliving the glory days of the arcade, and but now you get an awesome beer and everything. I assume what he's saying there is, wow, it was really loud and people were drinking. That's true. And he came on, it looks like a Friday or Saturday night. Also absolutely true. Mm-hmm. You will find people in Free Play enjoying delicious beers. It could get noisy. There is music rocking. It is, I mean, I don't even know how to really respond to that. He clearly really, I don't know if that's a positive or negative on Pokemon Red or Blue, but he either really, really likes them or really thinks that they're boring.
I don't know. It really takes me back because I remember when I got my Game Boy Color and Pokemon Red, and that's magical for me. But
right? I don't really know what he's getting to, but I think it is about being busy. Right?
It actually makes me a little sad because he says go down to Game Exchange and buy an old Game Boy Color. And I can't help but think I would go to Freaks and Geeks.
Well, yeah. Go ahead and let's
throw that out there.
Don't go to Game Exchange if you can. I mean, Game Exchange is Game Exchange.
People, perfectly good.
But have you been to Freaks and Geeks?
Have you been to Freaks and Geeks?
Denton happens to have, not only are they friends of Free Play, but just the best retro game store, period.
An amazing collection, seriously.
I can't even get over how every time I walk in there, how hard they have to be working in the background to make what happen. So those are our 2 1-stars. I think we haven't. Those are both within the first 2 or 3 days they opened. Mm-hmm. Nothing has popped up like that since. We had a cool 2-star that was pretty weirdly just weird on Facebook for Free Play Denton that we might have time to go ahead and hit. It's a guy who's now joined the community group and has been to Free Play Denton at least 6 times according to his own notes. But he has not yet removed his. I can't remember what his name is. Like Lincoln Chudwagon. I'll probably that might not be his name. Hold on, I'll find his actual name.
Well, while you're doing that, I would say that some of the issues that we've been dealing with most in reviews and questions for Denton are going to be space related. And yes, it is a much smaller Free Play, as we've discussed. I think if you are planning a party or anything of that nature, and you are not familiar with that space and you've been to one of the other Free Plays, absolutely swing by, check out the environment before you plan your events.
Huh. You laughed at when I said his name, but look at his name.
Nice.
It's Lincoln Chegwidden. So he... this is kind of a weird review. He complains that we're not actually 1 block from the square. We're more like 1.5 blocks from the square. Yeah, okay.
Okay, I will grant you that.
He says that
I would say it is less than a 2 to 3 minute walk from the square.
It's if you're on the square, we're really close. I don't really. We now say
technicalities. Cool.
Yeah. All right. So he got us there. He hit us with that 2-star. He says that he had great service at the register, and he asked her a question, but she didn't have a clue. Now he came there 2 days after they opened. This is the second day they were open, and he says She said she didn't have a clue. She just worked there and didn't know. It was packed. 60 people easy. All right, so let's unpack that really quick.
Okay.
I made sure to respond and say, hey, man, this is like, these are these employees' second or third days. They probably don't know everything. He doesn't actually say what his question was, which is a little irritating.
It's really hard for us to judge what we need to work with our staff on.
Because if his question was like, what kind of beer do you have? The employee should know. If his question was like, where did you get this specific game on this specific date? The employees probably don't know.
Well, or it could be a more technical question or a policies and procedures question that we may have briefed some of our employees on, but, they haven't had to answer those questions time and time again yet. So they may not know the answers to those questions just yet.
So he says it was packed, 60 people easy, really quick. There were definitely more than 60 people there. If you were there, Lincoln, it's probably more like 100. Yes, it's busy. Yes, it's crowded. If you don't want people in your arcade, free play is not the place to be, especially not free play Denton.
Not on a weekend.
He then said, disappointing atmosphere, fantastic tavern, very upscale. Okay, I don't know. That's literally word for word what he wrote. I don't know. I mean, it's a cool place.
So, disappointing atmosphere, very cool tavern. Upscale.
Very upscale.
Okay.
I don't know.
I really don't know what that means or how to react to that.
I mean, Free Play Denton's awesome. I love the place. Well, it is mildly upscale, but it's also, still our normal kind of style.
It has a different theme than our other locations, much more with the Miami Vice inspiration there.
Yeah, we're pretty pink there.
Very pink.
We have stainless steel and pink and black. I don't know. Okay, so he then says, even though he said that customer service was good before, he says customer service was lacking. You must have a larger place for this kind of crowd. Okay, Lincoln, there were more people there than you even think. The place is where it is right now. We're always evaluating how to improve our locations. Since he's been there, we did a nice little rotation. We changed the backroom format.
Moved the pinballs.
And that to the extent there was a sound issue, that really helped the sound issue where the pinballs are loud. And then he says, personally, I'd rather pay for my own games, which that's kind of like an aha moment. There are game players that could save money if they're really good at these games going to a pay arcade.
Oh, absolutely.
And to that we say, have fun. Go. Now, here's the big problem. And Quarter Lounge, I like. It's a cool place.
Oh, absolutely.
It costs $3.25 to get in or so. I can't remember the exact. And then it's a quarter per game or 50 cents or more for pinball. It's $5 going to Free Play Denton, period. So no matter where he goes in DFW, it's going to be more than Free Play Denton just to play a few games. Unless
you are looking for a one-off arcade that's popped up in your laundromat or... Well,
and I did tell him, hey man, we have Arcade Anywhere. Check out the Alamo Draft Houses, Lakewood Brewing. You'll find quarter play arcades.
Depending on the games that you're looking for.
Right. He says, I get the highest score or beat the game. I get a free one or a power-up. And it would be free for the next player if you don't want to keep playing. He's basically saying he just wants to pay a quarter, get free games, give them to people.
Well, it sounds like that. That's a cool atmosphere because if you're the guy who's getting free credits, then everyone wants to play after you.
Right. And then he says, why don't you just open up in the morning and charge for your games?
Ooh. Well, that's...
So it doesn't matter where you've been. Free Play Arcade... It's just statistics, it's numbers. Free Play Arcade has the highest uptime and game quality ever. There's no disputing that. That's just how it is.
We kill ourselves to make it happen.
But the reason we open at 3 on the weekdays is because our techs are working the whole time trying to make sure the games are working. We do some major stuff. I was just up there in Denton on Tuesday. I had at least 6 monitors that I worked on, at least 4 or 5 PCBs that I worked on. This is major work that has to happen before 3.
Well, right. And this isn't necessarily that a button is sticky. All of those concerns we take care of every hour of every day. These real concerns, we work on improvements. We work on things that will help our games be more stable for the long term. We work on, of course, all of those little issues that crop up every single day. And it's just about trying to preserve these games and make sure that they're working as well as possible at all times.
So he then says, best of luck. I responded to him. I said, dude, if you're looking for this kind of environment, you should join the community group because the community group will do all sorts of challenges that kind of mimic coin play, single credit things, tournaments, all of everything like that. and I kind of addressed, and he responded, and I mean, he's joined the community group. He's a total regular, and he hasn't changed the review or anything. But one of the really important things that he said was that he'd gone to the National Pinball Museum in Vegas. And he'd only spent like $20. And I was just, in my head, all I can think of is that's 4 times what it costs to get in Denton. And I understand.
Well, and
for people,
that is a huge place.
Right. Well, and I mean, I think the Pinball Museum's awesome. They're about to move. They're doing all sorts of stuff. Mm-hmm. And they have made huge strides on their quality. And that is undeniable. But no offense to a great place, the quality's nowhere near free play. I mean, they will have
several different reasons.
Well, they run all pinball, but they'll have 10 to 20% of their games down every day. If free play did that, I'd go find a bridge and jump off of it and die. Free play does not have that level of game issues. And you know, when you're playing a quarter at a time, if a game eats a quarter, it's not that big of a deal. You might go make a scene. You might go try to get your quarter back. You might not. But it's just like it's a whole different world when he's talking about spending $20. And if we got $20 from every person that came into free play, then it'd be a totally different world. So, I mean, Lincoln's joined the community group. I'm not trying to be negative. Lincoln, I appreciate the comments, but you know, free play is what free play is. And we've worked really, really hard because we think the free play model is the model to go. But so far right now, those are the majority of our negative reviews that we have access to. We have, again, our average rating on Facebook between all 3 locations is a 4.9. It's trending toward a 5. Our average on Google, I don't actually know how to do free play Denton because it's got the 2 accounts. I think you were probably at a 4.7 at all locations.
Yeah. If you averaged it.
Yeah. TripAdvisor says 4.5. I don't actually read those. Yelp says 4.5, and they can go burn in hell.
Corey has a thing against Yelp.
Yeah, no, it's not me. It's Yelp. First, stop calling me.
Please stop calling me.
Second, make people register with real names on their stuff. Google can get a little goofy because you can register and then change your name. Yelp, you don't have to give them a real name at all. You can have a username, doesn't matter. You can never have visited the place and leave reviews very easily. It makes it so that it's not real. And then, of course, Yelp. Stop saying you can remove negative reviews for money. You're just not going to get our money. That's it. I'm sorry, Yelp. But TripAdvisor seems cool. I don't actually go look at it, but we have a 4.5 there.
I don't know. Yelp, stop calling me.
I don't know what Foursquare is, but it's a thing.
It is a thing. I used to do some stuff
for a long time. Free Play had kind of a negative Foursquare, like it was like 82.
Gosh,
or something.
I haven't checked that in
it's now like 90 something on Foursquare. I don't know what that means, but we're getting better. Anyways, we love the good reviews. We've now read the negative reviews. It has been a cathartic experience. We have gotten through it. To the extent we hit anything that's a real problem, just know that either we've already addressed it or we are constantly addressing it.
Well, and please, if you have any problems at any free play location, let us know and we will do our best to correct it as soon as possible.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. If there's a game issue, if there's a food issue, if there's a drink issue, let us know. We'll make it right. We're in the customer service industry. We're in the service industry. And the reason we have such huge ratings, industry-leading customer service ratings, is because we will respond to your concerns. Mm-hmm. So let us know. We'll get it. For now, we're going to go try to get some 5-star reviews. Maybe just read the 5-star review so I feel better about myself. And we are signing off. This is the long, ultra negative free play arcade review podcast. We're out.
Peace out.